gonna be. Give it up, it's gonna be alright.
Hi there. So it's been quite a while since I last went on camera, and there are a couple of reasons for that. So first and foremost, the current format that I have for editing my videos makes it much easier to get them out faster. But more importantly, I'm going to be undergoing a procedure known as facial feminization surgery. And I'm actually going to be going through with it tomorrow, so the day after this is filmed. Not entirely sure when this video will be going up. So what is facial feminization surgery? It probably sounds quite strange to a lot of you, but for those who are unaware, facial feminization surgery, or FFS, refers to a number of procedures someone might take in order to make their face appear more female in presentation. Now these can be a variety of different procedures, whether it's jaw contouring or having work done on your hairline. These aren't just procedures which are done by trans women, by the way. There are some biological women who also do get these done. But the particular procedures I'm going to be looking at having are a hairline lowering, so moving up from here, a bit down lower. I'm going to be getting cheek implants, so it's here and here. And I'm going to be getting a brow lift, so I'm going to be lifting up my brows. So, how did all of this come about? It was something which I've wanted for the longest time. I've always been a bit self-conscious about the way I look. Now, I have got compliments about my appearance, and I've got compliments online, and I really, really appreciate those. But sometimes it's always about how I feel myself when I look at my reflection. I'm in a much better position now than I was 10 years ago, or even 4 or 5 years ago. But there are still things which I notice, and I'm still not comfortable with being in photographs. I will often try and avoid photographs unless I am personally taking the selfie myself. So I've been wanting to get work done on my face, but I didn't think I could ever really afford it. I live in central London, where rent is quite high, but on top of that you've got multiple bills to pay, you've got transport, you've got overall living your life, and whilst you can put a little bit away a month, the kind of money that you would need for facial feminization surgery is quite high, and it would involve sacrificing a big part of your life over a number of years to be able to get that done. And so I had it always as a pipe dream, as something that one day I might be able to afford it. Speaking to my parents earlier last year, my mum let me know that she'd come into some money, and she actually wanted to give me a big chunk of that, and she wanted to give me money in order to kind of get their facial feminization surgery. And the relationship which I have with my mum is incredible. When I first came out, it got a bit difficult, but that was a big gesture for me. That showed that was the real putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak. So like that was genuinely emotional. But then later on, my parents then said that they would actually be happy with lending me any additional money which I needed. Now, I was looking around for a while as to where I could get this done. I was initially thinking of getting it done abroad, but then my parents made a very good argument of, well, they want to be able to be nearby, and it's worth paying that extra money to be sure that you're getting someone who is high quality. And they're absolutely right. You don't want to be doing your face on the cheap. It's the most prominent part of your whole body. Don't rush this stuff. So I look around various different surgeons which I might be able to go and see, and eventually I settle on Christopher Inglefield. Now, he is actually quite a big name when it comes to facial feminization surgery. In fact, he's done work on the likes of Paris Lee's, along with other bigger name trans women you may or may not have heard of. Some of them I haven't, some are quite obscure, but his level of work is always incredibly high. I mean, just look at Paris. Regardless of what you think of her politics, she looks good. She looks really good. So I'm happy to get the same kind of work that she had. Now, you need to sort out a consultation first and foremost, and these consultations do cost money. In fact, the consultation with Mr. Inglefield cost £300, which is a lot of money. And you will find this with other surgeons as well, because I spoke with various surgeons' offices before settling on Inglefield, and it was around the same price point. So make sure that you're fully confident with the person that you're going to be seeing before you pay that consultation. That money will be used towards your surgery, but at the same time, if you're not happy with how the consultation goes, that's money you're not going to get back. You can check out their work on their websites before making that decision. There was a bit of a wait between booking the consultation and actually having the consultation itself, which was around 2 months, which was a lot longer than I was expecting. But maybe it just kind of shows how popular he is that it took so long. I mean, the wait itself really wasn't too bad. I mean, any transsexual can tell you just how painful waiting times on the NHS can be, and I suppose it's now much worse than it was when I was going through it all years ago. So knowing that I'm going to get appointments in like about 2 months, that really wasn't too bad. I finally had my appointment in the London Transgender Clinic, which is located in Harley Street. So it's in a quite prestigious area of London to get this kind of work done. Now, the appointment itself was about half an hour long, and it felt quite informal, but it was very useful for me to have. We discussed the kind of work that I would be looking at having, in particular my hairline lowering, and I talked about wanting my brow done. I did mention about my nose, but Mr. Inglefield specifically ruled out working on my nose. He said he did not want to touch it at all. Now, one thing which he did point out, and he said it was the only other thing that he would do, and it was something that I'd kind of thought about, was the cheek implants. It was something which I hadn't put too much thought into, but I'm actually quite glad that he pointed this out. So I thought that what he was recommending seemed reasonable, and we had photographs taken, although these weren't the kind of photographs that show you what the work would look like. This is just more of a before photos, and I will be sharing these in a later video. So the consultation went through completely fine, and when it got to discussing the price, which is one of the most important things, and it's actually quite hard to find out how much all this stuff costs, he wouldn't answer, and it's because it would need to go through the finance team before they could give you the definitive quote. So there's a bit of a tense 24 hours between having that consultation and getting the quote, because they do seem to assume that you have that money ready to go. And in fact, on that day, when I had the consultation, they booked in the date of my surgery there and then, which at the time was the 29th of January. So the next day I could barely concentrate at work, so I was like, I don't know whether this is going to cost tens of thousands of pounds, and whether I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't possibly be able to ask my parents to lend that much money. Eventually they did come through with a quote. Now, the quote has since changed from when they announced it. But the reason for that is because the hospital actually changed. So the original hospital I was meant to be having the work at on the 29th then became the hospital I'm going to tomorrow, which is the Queen Anne, which is the cheaper hospital of the two, and in fact it saved a couple of £1,000s. So the whole cost of the surgery itself, because you have to pay twice, you have to pay for the surgery and you have to pay for the hospital. The cost of the surgery, which I'm having myself, comes to £10,318, which is a lot of money. But then you got to add the hospital fee on top, and the hospital fee is £3,500, and that's for Queen Anne. There is another hospital which they use nearby, which is more expensive by several £1,000s. So this cancellation of the previous hospital worked massively in my favour, because they got a hugely reduced quote as a result. So that was all booked in, and it was basically at that point it's just more of a waiting game. So they sent me a postcard not long after seeing them, which was really nice. It's actually quite a nice way of kind of acknowledging our meeting. There wasn't loads of contact between them, but then there hasn't really been much for us to discuss. A couple of weeks ago, probably around the end of December, I did receive a special box from them, which includes this oil which they expect you to use on your forehead because of the hairline lowering. So I made a little unboxing of it, so I'm just going to put that on now. Okay, so one of the things that I need to do before my surgery, 2 weeks beforehand, is I need to use a specific serum. Now, this was actually provided to me by London Transgender Clinic. They sent it to me well over a month before the surgery, which I thought was a little bit early. So I received this package here. So that's SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic High Potency Triple Antioxidant Treatment. And it's 1% alpha. I have no idea what that means, but they've given me a handy guide on how to use it. So, as you can see here, as the directions, you need to use the product 2 weeks before the surgery and up until the evening prior to your surgery. Do not use while sutures are in situ. Recommended usage of products once sutures have been removed and continue for a total of 6 weeks. Apply 2 to 3 drops along the hairline once daily, as seen in the red area on the diagram below. And it has quite a weird picture. It looks like the person's hair is really, really far back. I'm going to be giving this a shot in just a couple of moments. But first, let's do a great unboxing. So I'm kind of trying to film this almost Ashen style, trying to, you know, add a little bit of variety to my channel somewhat. So let's finally get this open. So, well, it wasn't necessarily what I expected. So it is a small little bottle here with a thing you squeeze. So I suppose the idea is you dip it in there, take a couple of drops, and then you would then dab it on your hair. So let's get this filled up. Oh, so it's actually pressurized, so that's weird. It doesn't smell of anything either, which is a bit strange. And so, yeah, and then you just kind of fill it up a bit like that. Okay, so I'm going to start putting this on my hairline. So having had a bit more of a read, the reason for putting this on is that it kind of gets rid of, it calls itself a free radical. It kind of helps fertilise this area for hair growth, strengthens, which is going to be really important considering the surgery is going to be around here. So let's just put a few drops on there. Okay, so put a couple of things, yep, so there we go. It's kind of going down my head a little bit, feels a little bit weird. I'm not 100% sure I've done that right. I'm just kind of following the guide somewhat. It feels a little bit weird, so I've got to do this every day 2 weeks before my surgery, and then for 6 weeks following it. So I've been using that serum now for 2 weeks. It does feel quite weird, so it gets quite sticky on the forehead. It feels quite sticky now because I put it on earlier. And I remember like the first couple of times it felt like a little bit tingly, it felt a little bit stingy, but it doesn't feel that way anymore. It's just a couple of drops. It's nothing particularly like inconvenient to do in any way. Just remember to do it. So that's one of the main bits of preparation which I've been doing. The other is it's stipulated in the contract that you cannot smoke for 2 weeks before the surgery. Now, on the day of the surgery, they do a nicotine test, and if you fail, not only is the surgery cancelled and has to be rescheduled for another day, but you will lose 25% of the surgeon's fee that you've already paid. So for me, that would be a loss of £2,500 roughly. Now, I did give up vaping as a result because whilst the documents say smoking, it is a nicotine test. So that does include nicotine in nicotine patches in vaping. Thankfully, giving that up was surprisingly easy, actually. I only kind of missed the habit of having something to do with my hands rather than the nicotine itself. So I should have nothing to worry about with the test tomorrow, unless something's messed up. But otherwise, you have a conversation with them a week prior to surgery, although it can happen anytime within the 3 weeks beforehand, where they will discuss some of the aftercare which is going to be happening, which includes tramadol, which antibiotics, recommendations on what to do with washing the areas, as well as getting you booked in for follow-up appointments. Now, normally there would be a pre-surgery assessment done the day before. Because my surgery is tomorrow, which is a Monday, that's not possible. So what they've had to do is make me come in very, very early, about 7:15 in the morning, to have all of that checks done. When it came to, now, has it been a good experience with them so far? I would say yes, on the whole. The only kind of issue which I really had was they went very quiet on when I needed to pay, and it was only when I chased them up saying, like, when is it that I need to pay, and they told me, well, you have to pay today. And I was like, oh crap, I need to sort out the money. So I got that payment made, and then there's a similar thing with the hospital. In fact, the hospital only sent me their documents on Thursday, and it was about half an hour after I'd actually received it at my flat that they then called up asking for payment. And I'm like, well, I need to move money around. You've literally just sent me the documents. You can't expect me to drop that much money at the drop of a hat. But they do send a lot of good information over to you, and they do provide a lot. So as I mentioned earlier, they provide the oil which can go on the forehead, but they've also provided a machine which is known as Helo therapy. So this is going to help reduce swelling. I had to have a day off work to be able to go and receive it at my flat, so I've also done a little unboxing video for that as well, so here it is. So I've just received the heliotherapy kit. So as you can see, it came in a massive metal box, which is a little bit weird. Not really sure how I was expecting it to arrive. So it says on it, medical, please deliver it on time. It has a little plastic ring thingy, which I'm gonna have to rip off. So let's get this open and see what's inside. Ta-da! Right, okay, so first things first, a cable. A big old weird cable, not quite sure what that is. So you can see it comes with thorough instructions, which I'll probably go over later. So there is a bag, which is quite heavy actually, bloody hell. Right, okay. And in here, there's not really much else. Okay, that's kind of come off the hinges a little bit. That's odd. Right, so here we have the bag, which I need to unzip because this is what will have the kit in it. The magical kit. Okay, so some sort of weird computer. Yep. Okay, I probably need to get this out, which I won't film because that'll be a bit awkward holding a camera whilst doing that. Okay, so I've just had a look around everything. Now, I thought it might come with the masks that I would need to use, but it doesn't. Apparently I'm to be given them on the day of the operation itself. So the delivery for this could only be between Monday to Friday, so I've had to have a day of working from home in order to be in to receive it. So it doesn't come with much, but I'll just go through it. So it comes with a couple of cooling kits, or cooling packs, which are already pretty cold, or ice packs rather. So this is the main power plug, and that's the supply brick for the plug. So there is this cable, which I believe is meant to be used, you plug it in here, and then it would attach to the mask that will be given after the surgery. There is a further cable here, which I believe is the same thing. I'm not sure whether it's a replacement. It is a bit smaller, it's quite a bit smaller than the other one. So I'm not sure whether this is just a spare or what. So there are even more ice packs in here. Again, very, very cold. And then, so you can see there's the temperature gauge, there's Helofern, and then you open this up. Like, this does actually look quite old. Like, this looks like something from the 90s. And then when you open it up, guess what's in here? More ice packs. Yeah, there's a shitload of ice packs. that come with this. So it does come with instructions on how to use it. So a lot of it involves making sure that these ice packs are completely frozen. You make sure everything is plugged in on a flat surface. Then these cables, I believe, need to be attached to the face mask that I'll be using. And it's effectively just sit there and let it cool. So the idea of this is that it will reduce the swelling, which rather than just having a big ice pack on your face, something like this seems like a much more advanced way of doing it. So this is all included as part of the price. This is all part of the care. This was initially something I wasn't aware that I would even get. I basically got an email from them one day saying, oh, you need to arrange the delivery of this thing. So, yeah, I will be giving this a try once I've had the surgery. So, I don't know whether I will be posting a video of that or not, just because of, I don't know how I'm actually going to feel about being on camera. So a lot of that might just be more voice. But yeah, so this is the helotherapy kit, and yeah, cool. I'll go more into detail about the helotherapy machine once I've actually started using it. So how am I feeling now? Quite nervous. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, which I think is down to the stress. It's got a little bit better. I thought I was coming down with a cold, but I don't appear to be. I have been a bit panicky, not in the same kind of way as when I had the gender reassignment surgery. This is a very different feeling. This is something which feels more like a bonus. Like, this is, if I was to put it in epic gamer terms, the GRS is the main product, but having the facial feminization surgery is the season pass. You know, it's the little microtransactions, that's where they get you. And you need it in order to have the full experience. So it's something which I'm excited about. I think having one of the best people in the country to be doing it for me is quite an honour, really. There's always that panic of it going wrong, and in particular a panic of the surgery being cancelled at the very last minute. I had an operation cancelled at the last minute last year, and that kind of thing really does mess with your head. And I've had to sort out a lot at work and in my own personal life, and it would be hugely inconvenient if this wasn't to go ahead tomorrow. So at this point, I've had my last food pre-surgery. I'm not going to be eating anymore. I'm just going to continue to drink water. I'm allowed to drink water up until 6 AM. At that point, I need to be completely nil by mouth. At this point, I'm a mixture of excited and nervous. I do have high hopes for it. I've got friends here to look after me. In regards to the content for my channel, there's a couple of things which I've been wanting to cover. In particular, the recent tweet liked by someone which got them in trouble with the police. This is something which I do want to make a comment on because I think it is very, very important. I just had so much preoccupied over the last couple of days. I didn't have the time to sit down with it, but post-surgery, I've got nothing to do but watch Disney films, play a Disney video game, and maybe just tune into unpopular opinions. So I don't have much going on, so I might be able to get some more content out then, but please don't expect anything. Now, when it comes to the actual follow-up videos regarding what the procedure looks like afterwards, I don't know what format this will take. I don't know whether I'm going to be comfortable appearing on camera with scars, bruising and swelling. So I apologise if you're wanting to have that full detail. If I don't feel comfortable showing that, I will give you as much information as I possibly can, because I want this to be more of a video series for people who are thinking of having this procedure done, or people who are interested in what it might entail. I want to be as factual as possible. But this video is just more of what my pre-operation thoughts are. Once again, this is actually unscripted, which is becoming a bit more common for me. But I hope you enjoyed this. For a change, completely non-political video. I think it's the first one I've done, except for that rap with Sly Sneak. So there is that. But if you want to follow my updates for my facial feminization surgery, you can follow me on Twitter. You can also subscribe to my channel, so there will be a couple more. In particular, if you are trans, I might have some views on trans issues that you may or may not disagree with, but please give them a listen and see see how this might align with your own thoughts. But otherwise, thank you all for watching, and I hope that this has been informative for you, and my other videos on this will be informative as well. So once again, thank you all, and I will see you on the other side.